Alright, my fellow peeps. The PlayStation, abbreviated as PS, commonly known as PS1 or its codename PSX, is a home video game console developed and marketed by Sony Interactive Entertainment. And let me put it this way, peeps. This console is one of the best ones I have ever seen. Well, just to tell you the truth, I never had the PlayStation 1 before until February 2012. And I really appreciate that moment. So, I even seen the videos of the PlayStation 1 games on YouTube. But thank God I finally got it, like, over 11 years ago. Yeah. Alright, peeps. Let's get this show on this God-blessed road. Okay, so it was released in Japan first on December 3rd, 1994, and then we gotta wait for 9 months to get it released in the US. Yep, September 9th, 1995. You are not ready. Yeah, that's the first slogan that the PlayStation staff came up with. And then 20 days later, in Europe, September 29th, 1995, it's been released. And then 2 more months later, it was released on Australia, November 15th, 1995. As a 5th generation console, the PlayStation primarily competed with the Nintendo 64 and the Sega Saturn. Yeah. So the competition of the 5th generation consoles just kept on with the Nintendo 64 until September of 1999, where we got the Dreamcast. Okay, so Sony began developing the PlayStation, the fucking add-on for the Super Nintendo, but it failed miserably after a failed venture with Nintendo to create a CD-ROM peripheral for the Super NES in the early 1990s. The console was primarily designed by Ken Kutaragi and Sony Interactive Entertainment in Japan, while additional development was outsourced in the UK. And emphasis on 3D polygon graphics was placed at the forefront of the console's design. PlayStation game production was designed to be streamlined and inclusive, enticing the support of many third-party developers. Okay, the console proved popular for its existence, game library, popular franchises, and low retail price, and aggressive youth marketing which advertised it as the preferable console for adolescents and adults. Premier PlayStation franchises included Gran fucking Turismo, Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, Tomb Raider, Metal Gear, Tekken, and even fucking Final Fantasy, all of which spawned numerous sequels. PlayStation games continued to sell until Sony ceased production of the PlayStation and its games on March 23rd, 2006. Well, Jesus fucking Christ. A total of 3,061 PS1 games were released, with cumulative sales of 967 million units. Talk about the biggest Grammy Award of all consoles. So, its use of compact discs heralded the games industry transition from cartridges. The PlayStation's success led to a line of successors, beginning with the PlayStation 2 in 2000. The same year, Sony released a smaller and cheaper model, the PS1. Well, yeah, I used to have the PS1 model with 2 buttons on the fucking console, which had no reset button. But I just had to wait until the end of near the end of 2015 to get another PlayStation console. Okay, so the background. PlayStation was conceived by Ken Kutaragi, a Sony executive who managed the hardware engineering division and was later dubbed the father of PlayStation. Ken's interest in working with video games stemmed from seeing his daughter playing games on Nintendo's Famicom. Ken convinced Nintendo to use his SPC 700 sound processor in a Super Nintendo through a demonstration of the processor's capabilities. Okay, let's see here. Okay, the PlayStation was to be announced at the 1991 Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. However, Nintendo President Hiroshi Yamauchi was wary of Sony's increasing leverage at this point and deemed the original 1988 contract unacceptable. Upon releasing it, essentially handed Sony control over all games written on a SNES CD-ROM format. Although Nintendo was dominant in the video game market, Sony possessed a superior research and development department. Okay, so the development is, since Sony had no experience in game development, it had to rely on the support of third-party game developers. This was in contrast to Sega and Nintendo, which had versatile and well-equipped in-house software divisions of their arcade games, and could easily port successful games to their home consoles. Recent consoles like the Atari Jaguar and 3DO suffered low sales due to a lack of developer support, prompting Sony to redouble their efforts in gaining the endorsement of arcade-savvy developers. A team from Epic Sony visited more than 100 companies throughout Japan in May 1993 in hopes of attracting game creators with the PlayStation's technological appeal. Through a series of negotiations, Sony acquired initial support from Namco, Konami, and fucking Midway, as well as 250 other development teams in Japan alone. Namco in particular was keen to participate in the PlayStation project as a third-party developer, since Namco rivaled Sega in the arcade market. Well, damn! Attaining these fucking companies secured influential games as Ridge Racer and Mortal Kombat 3. Ridge Racer being one of the most popular arcade games at the time, it was already confirmed behind closed doors that it would be the PlayStation's first game by December 1993. Well, that's a good fucking choice here. Namco's research managing director Shigechi Nakamura met Ken in 1993 to discuss the preliminary PlayStation specifications with Namco, subsequently basing the Namco System 11 arcade board on PlayStation's hardware, developing Tekken to compete with Virtua Fighter. Well, I see that. Ian Hetherington, Psygnosis co-founder, was disappointed after receiving early builds of the PlayStation and recalled that the console was not fit for purpose until his team got involved with it. Okay, Ian frequently clashed with Sony executives over broader ideas. At one point, it was suggested that the television with the built-in PlayStation be produced. So on launch day in Japan, December 3rd, 1994, a week after the release of the Sega Saturn at a price of 39,800 yen, it sold 100,000 units on the first day, and 2 million units within 6 months. Although the Saturn outsold the PlayStation the first few weeks due to the success of Virtua Fighter. By the end of 1994, 300,000 PlayStation units were sold in Japan compared to 500,000 Saturn units. Well, I'll be damned. Well, compared to the PlayStation and Sega Saturn, the PlayStation had so many fucking popularity. It just had so much popularity that it deserved to be spawned an existence of the PlayStation Underground CD magazine. No wonder why it's that. Okay, the technical specifications. The main microprocessor is a 32-bit LSI R3000 CPU with a clock rate of 33.86 MHz and 30 MIPS. Its CPU relies heavy on the COP2 3D and Matrix Math coprocessor on the same die to provide the necessary speed to render complex 3D graphics. The role of the separate GPU chip is to draw 2D polygons and apply shading and textures to them. The rasterization stage of the graphics pipeline. Sony's custom 16-bit sound chip supports 80 PCM sources with up to 24 sound channels and offers a sampling rate of up to 44.1 kHz and MIDI sequencing. It features 2 MB of main RAM with an additional 1 MB being allocated to video memory. Yeah, so let's see. The PlayStation has a maximum color depth of 16.7 million true colors with 32 levels of transparency and unlimited color lookup tables. Its video output initially provided by the parallel I/O cable, and later a serial I/O used for the PlayStation Link cable. Display resolutions from 256 by 224 to 640 by 480 pixels. Different games can be used different resolutions. So, yeah, what we got here is a memory card along with it. Yeah, 15 blocks each. So, yeah. Yeah, 15 blocks, it sure is enough just to save a fucking game like Hexen, NFL Blitz 2000, Persona 1 and 2, or any of the fucking games that have memory card save features, especially Gran Turismo. Yeah, most PlayStation games have memory card save features. Why can't you have all the memory card save features on the fucking library of the PlayStation, like Mortal Kombat Trilogy, for example? Because it doesn't have a save feature when it's meant to. Yeah, the first one, we had the PlayStation controller, just a plain-ass PlayStation controller. And then 1997, the analog controller came along with it. And in 1998, the DualShock analog controller, which we see them in common. I like the DualShock controller the most. So yeah, peripherals. There's more peripherals besides a memory card. There's Pocket Station, which is only in Japan. A PlayStation multi-tap for WWE SmackDowns 1 and 2, or FIFA Soccer or NFL Blitz. The PlayStation mouse used for rail shooting games like Area 51 or Crypt Killer. The PlayStation Link cable, where you can plug in 2 PlayStations and 2 TVs at the same time. Yeah, that'll be useful for Cool Borders 2, Red Asphalt, or any games that had anything to do with the Link cable. And the fucking Namco Gun Con, used for Time Crisis, and so on. So to have Sony to be prevented from video game piracy, the Sony manufacturer just coated the PlayStation discs with black. Well, goddamn, isn't that exciting? Isn't that new? So, the PlayStation's best-selling game is Gran Turismo 1 from 1997 in Japan and 1998 in the US, which sold over 10 million units. After the PlayStation's discontinuation in 2006, the cumulative software shipment was 962 million units. Yeah. Yep, the PlayStation 1 had 12 years of lifespan, which was really good. But the release of the PlayStation wasn't stopped until 2004 with the final PS1 game, that is FIFA Soccer 2005. Yeah, best $300 that you peeps would ever spend on. So in conclusion, my fellow peeps, I 100% plus recommend the fucking PlayStation. Yeah, even though that it's an old school game console, but hey, it never hurts like a bitch just to go back to play it. Because I've been playing the PlayStation 1 games all the fucking time. So yeah, peeps. Best console I have ever seen, and I hope y'all liked it as much as I do.